one of the things that it's important for me in this class is the word agile. When we say the word agile, different things come to your mind, right? It could be stand-ups, it could be iterations, it could be, right, many, many different things. Let's just start kind of brainstorming. What are 2 facts you believe are about agile, or you think these are 2 facts you think are about agile? What's a fact about agile from your point of view?
It implies flexibility.
Okay, good. What else?
It's about delivering value.
It's meant to deliver.
It's about delivering value.
Matter of delivering value. Good. What else? Facts about agile. It's an overused term. Yeah, that's a fact.
Very good.
What else?
It's reactive or it's responsive.
Okay.
It responds to changing conditions quickly.
Customer satisfaction.
Customer satisfaction. What are myths about agile? What? It can solve all problems. Yes, that is a myth. What else?
No documentation.
No documentation. That's not a fact? No, it's a myth. Yes. What else? Come on, myths. What have you heard? Nothing?
It lives in the domain of project management.
It lives in the domain of project management. Okay, good. So when we talk about the term agile for the next few minutes, or actually for the rest of the course, what I want to really focus on is the English term agile, which means flexibility, right? Or agility, being able to navigate different constraints. So how do we learn how to be agile? I'm going to use this model called Shu-Ha-Ri. Right? So Shu-Ha-Ri comes from the martial art of Aikido. And basically the idea behind Shu-Ha-Ri is to say, as you learn something, you go through a progression of learning, right? And there's 3 stages from this model. The first stage is called Shu. So let's imagine this. I just land at the airport. This is my first visit to New Zealand. I just land and I don't know anything, I don't know anyone. And actually, you know what? I know David. So I call David up and I say, David, how do I get from the airport to the hotel? All right? And he says, that's easy, dude. There's 5 different ways to get from the airport to the hotel. And he tells me all 5. Did he help me or confuse me?
The latter.
Assuming there are 5. Did he help me or confuse me?
Confused you.
What do I need?
One way.
I need one way, right? I need him to pick me up, probably, right? Yeah. I need a taxi. I need not to think about it. I need a specific set of directions to follow, and I'm not going to second guess it, right? I'm going to put a GPS on, and I'm going to say yes, ma'am, to whatever it tells me, right? And I'm following precisely without modification. That's what we call Shu. Then we move from Shu to Ha. Ha says this, so I come more often now. And I understand that there are 5 different ways to get from start to end, right? To get from the airport to the hotel. And I start to understand when to use which. So if I'm coming in the morning, I do this. If I'm in the evening, I do this, right? If there's traffic, I take this route. And I understand when to shift between these techniques and why. Then we move into Ri. Ri is when you're just driving, right? Driving from home to work today, okay? You're not thinking about it. There's no GPS on. You may be eating. You may be doing other stuff. And the interesting part about Ri is if there's traffic, right, you can take an exit that you've never taken before, go through roads you've never experienced, but you're just driving unconsciously and navigating these constraints to come to your destination as you need to, right? And you may be inventing new routes that you've never taken before and you don't even think about it. Right? That makes sense? So that's Shu-Ha-Ri. So where do you guys think Agile lives? Shu, Ha, or Ri? For me, it's really in Ri. And the reason is I'm not really sure there's a lot of flexibility in Shu. Right? So if I know one way of doing things, and that way isn't working for me, that's it, right? If I know one route to get from the airport to the hotel and there's traffic, I'm sitting in traffic, right? Where's the flexibility there? Now, when we look at even Ha for me is you have options. You have 2 or 3 options, right? You pick among those options and you go for it. But for me, agility lives in Re. It's the ability to navigate unknown constraints, right? So as you're driving and traffic, you didn't plan about it, you don't know that there was traffic there, but traffic just showed up, you can navigate that constraint and deliver value, right? And get to your destination on time. For me, that's real agility. So it's the ability to navigate unknown constraints. And honestly, for me, Shu and Ha just don't provide that, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't there some advantage, though, in saying you're going to have stand-ups? If you're trying to convey a new way of working, getting people to focus on the areas which really do make the difference, and just say,
Well, that's a great point.
help communicate what the new way of working is going to be, get them to focus on the area where you do break the rules, but you have followed the rules in other areas.
Well, I want to actually take that one step further and say, can you start in Re? You can't. You actually have to start with Shu. You can't just land in a new city and say, I know this place. No, you don't. No. I've driven in another city, right? And I can manage my way around this. I've tried another process and don't worry about it. No. And this is the challenge, actually, that people start in Shu, okay? And we actually want people to start in Shu because there's no really other place to start. If you start down here, you confuse people. If I tell you, guess what? You don't have to do stand-ups or anything. Just be agile. What the hell does that mean? Well, what do you want me to do? No. I'm giving you complete flexibility to be agile. Like you're in Re now. And I've never even heard of the word agile before. You've confused me. You haven't helped me. But to start, I'm going to say, listen, you need to do 2-week iterations. You need to do a stand-up. You need to do user stories like this. Great. But here's the problem, David. People get stuck in Shu. Right? They learn one way of doing things and they stop there. They get stuck in the shoebox. Right? And that becomes the world of agile for them. Now, if you're learning to play tennis or learning about anything, that's one thing. But if you're learning to be flexible and you get stuck in the shoebox, it's quite ironic. Right? So I can learn tennis, right? Or football or rugby. Well, let's not go there right now. I've been watching it, but I mean, if you're learning something new and you stop in Shu, it's understood. I can drive the same route from the airport to the hotel for the next 10 years, right? Okay. Sure, you're not reaching agility, right? Flexibility. You may get stuck more in traffic, but listen, it's okay. You're gonna live. No. If you're trying to learn about agility, see, that's the irony. It's quite complicated. We're trying to learn how to be agile. Yet, in doing that, we got to start somewhere, but then we stop. So many people I've seen say, well, I started using Scrum, okay, and then, well, I'm still using Scrum. And is it working for you? Not really. We have some problems, so why don't you change it? But Scrum says A and B and C. Well, but the whole point is to get out of the shoebox, right, and move towards Ha and Re. But there's no understanding of that. We believe that what we learn here becomes the universe, right? So what we actually want to do is move away from Shu, right? We have to start there, but move out of Shu and into Ha and into Re as quickly as possible. Because I believe all the real benefits of agility, right? And I'm not talking about Scrum or extreme programming, of agility, right, will show up when we get here. Because if stand-ups aren't working for you, let's invent something new that would work for us. But see, that invention, that creating new kind of practices, that lives here. And for me, that's where we need people to get to. That's where we need organizations to get to. To create practices and ways of working based on unknown constraints that pop up at different points in time, because we can't predict that. The other thing that's worthy of noting about this is one shoe doesn't fit all sizes, right? So anything at a shoe level is actually quite generic, quite simplistic, so that many people can understand it and get started with it. But the challenge is, as you start to scale and mature, right, you gotta customize. You have to make it your own, right? And unfortunately, with shoe, it's just generic. It's simple, and it should be for shoe. See, that's what, I'm not hating on Scrum or Extreme Programming or any of those, because if we didn't have those, how would I even start the journey? I couldn't start the journey. But what I have an issue with is that we get stuck there. Make sense? The other thing to note about this is this notion of constraints. And this is going to be a recurring theme in the class, right? Now, let's go back to the example. David's at RE, folks, okay? David's at RE, I'm at SHU. We're driving from the airport to the hotel, okay? Or we're driving between two places that has potentially a lot of traffic in between. Airport, hotel, good example, maybe, I don't know. So, we're driving, but we're driving on a Sunday morning at 4 a.m. Is there traffic? No. So my SHU level and his RE level are equal. Agility isn't manifested. Why? Because there are no constraints. Now, when we have constraints, like what? Traffic. Let's add some, I don't know, rain. What? Yeah.
Bad weather.
Yeah, bad weather. And an accident. Let's throw in an accident there. Now, his agility will manifest itself more than my lack of agility, right? So the interesting part here is this. In order to manifest agility, you need constraints. Think about this. Without constraints, you don't need agile. That's the point. Without constraints, you do not need agile, right? That was the example. I could be in SHU level all my life without constraints. If your organization has no constraints, waterfall, rub, do whatever you want to do. There's no constraints. Enjoy. But the reality comes and hits when there are constraints. Like what? People come up to me and say, can we do agile and fixed price contracts? Right? I was like, that's a constraint. Now let's think. Right? That's a constraint. I have a constraint that says I need to deliver with this price, on this time. But do you see the shift in mindset here? The more constraints, can we do agile with remote teams? It's another constraint. Let's think about it. But can you do Scrum with remote teams? Can you do Scrum with fixed price? I mean, the question is wrong. Right? The whole question is wrong. Because if we truly understand what agile is and agility is, we will never ask questions, can I do flexibility when I have this problem? Duh. You better be flexible when you have this problem. Am I getting through? Yes?
I haven't got it, sorry.
What?
I haven't understood it.
So let me repeat this last part. So if we don't have constraints, right, the example I was talking about, it doesn't matter that we don't need agility. True?
True.
If we don't have constraints, we don't need agility. So what are the kind of constraints that we're talking about? I gave examples, right? Fixed price, right? Remote teams. These are all different constraints that projects have. So when people come ask the question, can I do agile with fill in the blank, right? Put your constraint of choice in there. With fixed price contracts. Can I do agile with remote teams? I believe that question isn't right. Why? Because in the person asking the question's head, they've equated agile to a process. So they're saying, can I take this route when there's an accident on it? No, you won't get there. But the question should be, there's an accident, should I be flexible? Yes, and that's the whole point, right? When there's a problem, if you truly are in RE, then you have no problem, because any problem is simply a constraint. You will be agile and navigate around it.
Got it.
Got it? Guys, over here? Yes? Yes? Okay.
So being in RE though, using your driving
Sure.
example, doesn't necessarily make you more efficient. I drive to work and I'll take a variety of different routes depending on constraints, but it may actually take me a lot longer because there's a block here.
Beautiful.
I go this
beautiful.
direction and it's worse.
This is one of the best questions I get. It does not make you more efficient. I agree. But does it make you more effective?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, does it make you more innovative? Right? You may discover a route that is the most effective and efficient later. But this is the shift that we're going to talk about, right? Is this thirst for efficiency has actually caused us to be ineffective, has actually caused us to totally abandon innovation, because innovation requires some ineffectiveness and inefficiency because you're learning, right? And the problem is, if I want to actually take that analogy one step further, if you're at CHU, okay, and you've learned one way to get from the airport to the hotel, and you're always in a rush, always, just like many corporates are, right? Business, we always don't have time. Will you even start to experiment with another route?